This is Luke Paulson, the Catholic Conservative, and welcome to the news of the week for May 20th, 2023. And if you enjoy these videos, do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. Rewriting scripts. When you think of directors in Hollywood, one of the first names that will come to mind is Steven Spielberg. He is the creator of many movies that existed before the woke mind virus infected the city, such as E.T. in 1982. When the 20th anniversary aired in 2002, there were a handful of changes made for modern audiences. Most notable is, of course, the change from rifles to radios. You honestly expect me to believe that government agents that were previously willing to barge into a person's house, that kidnapped a family without trial, and put a town on lockdown, would have radios on their person rather than rifles? In the 1980s, it was still the thing to question the government. But between now and then, Hollywood started to bow to big government. Spielberg now regrets making the aforementioned changes to E.T. He went on to say that no film should be rewritten for the modern era. For the record, I do not even think that woke movies like the Star Wars sequel should be rewritten. The subway incident. What should you do if you are on a New York subway and someone threatens to end his life and threatened others? Just like so many of these other racist incidents, I had trouble finding the actual footage in both newscasts and on YouTube. However, I do know that the opposition to Neely was not just from the racist former Marine. Several passengers of varying melanin concentrations were also involved. However, this is not important for someone like Bragg. He is charging the man who put the unstable man in a restraining hold. It makes sense. He charged the would-be victim of a store robbery rather than the robber himself. Bragg, being appointed by Soros, has no interest in justice. Likewise, we are presently having to deal with
Many of these protests have been largely peaceful.
Mostly peaceful.
over the tragic death of Neely. No reparations in a free state. For those of you who need a refresher in United States history, California was admitted into the Union as a free state. In fact, that was part of a much bigger compromise, and it was a big deal that California was admitted as such. However, Governor Newsom decided that the former slaves of California, which again did not exist, should be given reparations.
They're talking about finally doing that now.
Sure.
You think that's a good idea?
Yes.
And long overdue. $500 a month or something is what they're saying. So you think you support the reparations? That's, I guess, the question.
I absolutely do.
Okay. And you want to help out? You support the $500 a month? I just want to ask you to Venmo the next black person that comes walking by here to help out with the reparations.
You're a racist piece of
Now, the amount would be quite substantial and would come out of the already empty coffers of California taxpayers. Of note is that the mass exodus left the Golden State without millions of dollars in tax revenue. This is because the people that seek freedom and liberty above all else are generally more successful than those who depend on the government to fix all of their problems. However, reparations would have been unsustainable even if the tax dollars remained in California. The good news? It has recently been announced that the reparations would not take place. It took federal troops. President Trump wanted to build a wall across the southern border.
The bill before us will certainly do some good. It will authorize some badly needed funding for better fences and better security along our borders.
He also suggested deploying federal troops to the border. In the wake of Title 42 being lifted, the Biden administration sent federal troops to the border despite saying that it was secure. Said troops have begun using barbed wire to keep the illegals out. In lieu of a legitimate wall, this is a good compromise. It is possible to get past a barbed wire fence, but when you also have to deal with a military force on the other side, it is much harder. Furthermore, it seems that these troops are not going to take the easy way out, but are actually defending the border. They should be able to hold the line long enough to build the actual wall. Multiplication of the hosts. A miracle occurred in Connecticut, and it was all caught on camera. It is good news for all Christians, Catholic and non-Catholic. Although I must admit that I cannot find the actual footage since it was in a prison, and thus there are probably all sorts of legal concerns. The prison minister went out to distribute consecrated hosts, but miraculously ended up giving out more hosts than he had originally. That is something that should not be possible, and yet, here we are. The actual miracle occurred a few months ago. It has been working its way up through the Catholic hierarchy and now is at the Vatican. If the miracle is confirmed there, it will be officially recognized within the Catholic Church. So why should any non-Catholic care about a Eucharistic miracle? In 1972, the World Health Organization decided to try and disprove a Eucharistic miracle from Lanciano, Italy. Naturally, these people come from an atheistic, arguably misotheistic worldview. This organization is none too fond of religion, as one of their role models called it the opiate of the masses. After hundreds of tests, they found that there was no scientific explanation. We must rely on God, as He has power over and beyond the laws of nature. Furthermore, all those who doubt Him will have to stand by the same judge as the rest of us. It never should have happened. The Durham report completely exonerates President Trump.
Yes!
We also know that all of the charges for the bogus impeachment hearing were groundless as well.
Yes!
Furthermore, the Democrats were behind the entire thing.
Yes!
So how did we really get this far? Is it possible that there are powerful players that hate President Trump so much that they would do this? In short, they would. President Trump has been undermining the plans for open borders, perpetual war, and the regulatory state since his first day. He had to be stopped because he could not be controlled. Speaking of political corruption, no defense for the IRS agent. The IRS has removed the entire team that was investigating Hunter Biden. The agent over the investigation previously asked for whistleblower protections, and now he will never get them. How long before the liberal news tries to find out who he is and dox him like they did libs of TikTok and others?
'Twas never a matter of if, only when.
He will be hunted by the members of Operation Mockingbird. Operation Mockingbird is here to remind you to never question the official narrative. While President Trump is not being investigated anymore because there was no evidence, the investigation into Hunter Biden has stopped because there was too much evidence. Kamala Harris is a czar again. Kamala Harris was declared the border czar and yet had trouble actually getting to the border. When the administration finally went, it was a carefully choreographed performance to make it look under control. Now with AI taking off lately, she has been named the AI czar to get this under control. Woke AI that does not try to stop a man from committing suicide is one thing, but the woke ideals that they are putting out there are enough to make any decent person sick to his stomach. She met with the heads of these companies with the goal of discussing common sense regulations for AI. Governments have a history of regulating things that they know nothing about, or leaving the regulations up to the same companies that would be regulated. We are seeing the beginning of a very dangerous computer revolution, and I am quite apprehensive about what will happen next. Beholden to Dominion and Pfizer. O'Keefe Media Group has uncovered the biggest bombshell of its existence. It confirms one thing that we already knew. Tucker Carlson was essentially fired. It also confirms that Fox is beholden to both Dominion and Pfizer. And if they step too far out of line, there are consequences. Fox is a member of Operation Mockingbird and is just as corrupt as the rest of the mainstream media. Operation Mockingbird is here to remind you to never question the official narrative. In truth, they are controlled opposition.
Duh.
Also, the journalist was the same person who got the video of the Pfizer executive that revealed that they are mutating viruses to make more vaccines. The WEF at Twitter. Elon Musk has made such significant progress as the owner of Twitter. He has made his share of mistakes and has not gone far enough in some cases, but he has made progress nonetheless. Now he has hired someone who previously worked for both the Biden administration and the World Economic Forum as the CEO. Is this a wise move?
Only Poppins would know.
Either way, considering his previous stance on the World Economic Forum, it is a bit hypocritical. I mean, said forum has certain goals.
To take over the world.
Maybe I'm just blowing smoke. Maybe I'm completely off my rocker, but that is just my opinion. And if you enjoyed this content, do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. And also don't forget to follow me on social media.